Hey stat students, today our goal is to be able to find a 5-number summary and draw a box plot, as well as draw a modified box plot if we have outliers. So let's get started right away. On your worksheet today, you're going to see something that looks like this. So let me just explain kind of what this looks like. We have our data set right here, okay? We have our n equals 13. What does that mean? N equals 13 means that's the number of observations that we have, okay? So we have 13 numbers in our data set. Then we have the place to have our 5-number summary as well as the number line here so we can make the box plot, okay? So we've talked about what a 5-number summary is, what each blank means, but I'll just review with you. The first number we put in there is the minimum. The next number is the quartile 1. Then we have the median, quartile 3, and the maximum. Okay, so one thing you could do right away is you could just go ahead and write down what the min and the maximum is. That's something that everyone can do, right? Like everyone can do that. You can get your points for those things right away. Feel good to have something down. Okay, but how do I find quartile 1, the median, and quartile 3? Well, there are some steps. So get out a sheet of paper and a pencil and make sure you write these steps down. Step 1, you want to make sure that your data set is in increasing order. That means from smallest to greatest, okay? So you can see that we have that here, 0 all the way to 7, okay? Step 2, we need to find the median of the numbers, okay? So what does that mean? We're going to start crossing off the outsides and going in to find that middle number, okay? So I'm going to cross off this number, first and last, and then we just keep going. And there we go. We have a middle number. Well, what happens if there would have been like a number 2 here? Let's just play pretend. What if there was 2 numbers in the middle? What you need to do to get that median is you add those 2 numbers up and divide by 2. So if there was a 2 here and we were left with 2 numbers, you would say 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. That would be your median. That is not the case though, so we're going to erase it. We did get right to a middle number. Our median is 3. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that in the middle space there. My median is 3. Okay. Step 3, we're going to find quartile 1. Quartile 1 is the median of all the values that are below the median. Okay. The median of all the values below the median. Okay. At this point, if you need to pause and write some things down because I'm talking too fast, make sure you're doing that. All right, let's go up. We want the median of all the values that are below the median. Okay, so what is below this median? All of these numbers are below the median. We do not include the actual median itself. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and erase these so I can see them better. And now I want to find the median of these numbers. That's quartile 1. So I cross off. And look, I'm stuck with 2 in the middle. So what do I want to do? I want to add those 2 together. 1 plus 2 is 3. And then I want to divide by 2. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. That's my quartile 1. Okay, step 4. We want to find quartile 3. So let me ask you this. If the median is the numbers of everything that are below the median, okay, so I'm sorry, let me say that again. If quartile 1 is the median of all the numbers that are below the median, what do you think quartile 3 is? Hopefully you're telling yourself the median of all the values above the median. So step 4, quartile 3 is the median of all the values above the median. Again, pause these steps, write these things down. Now we're going to go back up and I'm going to erase so I can see these numbers. I want to find the median of all of these numbers that are above this main median. Okay, that's going to give us quartile 3. So I'm going to cross off. Again, I'm stuck with 2 in the middle. Okay, I add those up. 5 plus 5 is 10. Divided by 2, that gives me 5 again. 5 is quartile 3. And then step 5, we're going to put the min and the max in, which we did already, and we're going to draw our box plot. So you've learned how to do a box plot before. What we do is we have our number line. Always look at the min and look at the max, right? And see what should we scale our number line by. Okay, so I'm going from 0 to 7, and I'm going to scale by ones. Okay, so I'm going to put a dot on each one of my 5-number summary values. Okay, so the minimum, and I'm going to do right above that number line, 1.5, the median, okay, which is 3, the quartile 3, which is 5, and the maximum, which is 7. I then want to put a rectangle around my quartiles with a line going through the center. And then I have my whiskers, like the box and whisker, like you've learned before, that go out to the min and to the max. You've made your box plot. You've made a box plot before. The only difference is now you're finding that 5-number summary. Now, one thing, statisticians, they're more than just number crunchers. They can interpret, okay, what's going on with these numbers. If someone said, well, what does that mean for the median? So you need to be able to interpret what is a quartile 1, what is a quartile 3, the median, IQR. Let's start with the median. When we are interpreting the median, we want to use this sentence frame. If someone said, well, what does that mean that that's the median? I would tell you that 50% of the observations, and observation is that number in that data set, 50% of the observations are less than, well, our median is 3. So I would say 3 in this case. 50% are less than 3. Now, okay, now I also want to make sure that I'm putting this in context. So if they were test grades, I wouldn't say observations. I would say 50% of the test grades are less than 3. I always tell the story behind that number. Okay, next, quartile 1. If someone asks me, what does that mean, quartile 1? I know that it's 1.5, but what does that mean? I would tell them 25% of the observations are less than 1.5. And again, guys, I wouldn't just say observations if we were talking about test scores, or what if it was the number of points scored in a game? Whatever that context is, you fill that in. Again, let's keep going. Quartile 3, and then I need a little more space here. Let me draw that down. Quartile 3, well, quartile 3, that's 5, okay? So 75% of the observations are less than 5. Once again, if there was context to it, meaning the story behind it, I would say 75% of the grades on a test are less than a 5, or 75% of the number of free throws made are less than 5, whatever that context is. And then finally, we have something called the IQR. And the IQR is a measure of spread. And how we find the IQR is a little formula here. It's quartile 3 minus quartile 1. So in our case, quartile 3, well, that's 5 minus quartile 1 is 1.5. That's equal to 3.5. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, quartile 3 minus quartile 1 is my IQR. That's a measure of spread. 5 minus 1.5 is equal to 3.5. If I'm going to interpret that, I would say 50% of the observations have a spread of 3.5. Okay, we have just done what? We found a 5-number summary, we drew the box plot, and we learned how to interpret what those values are. Now what happens if we have outliers? This is part 2 of our video, okay? So go to part 2, take a little break, and then go to part 2 for that video.